It seems like for the past 5 years in the online world, everyone's talking about networking, how your network is your net worth. And I don't know about you, but I've always known these people that just seem to have fantastic connections that opens doors for them, whether they were graduating university and walking straight into a corporate job at a top firm, or whether they just always seem to know the people that could get them into cool events, stuff like that. I've always been fascinated by networking and how networking can unlock doors, and I've been fortunate enough over the past few years, I've now built up to the point where I've probably got over 20 to 30 millionaires in my contact book. At an event last month in New York, I was able to interview a billionaire, and I've noticed that over the past couple of years, my network has been able to unlock some absolutely incredible opportunities for me, to the point that my network has given me business ideas, allowed me to go on some amazing holidays and do some fantastic things, and also allowed me to make some incredible friends. So I'm recording this video to give you the 5 things that I would advise to my younger self if I was looking to build a bigger, better network than I currently have now. So if you're someone that is looking to grow their network, if maybe you're shy or not sure exactly how to build a network and get to the point where you're able to know the sort of people that you want to know, then make sure you watch this video, because particularly step 5 is a thing that has completely unlocked so many amazing opportunities for me in the past 18 months. The first thing is you've just got to go for it. I think a lot of people maybe get anxious in social situations. I certainly do, because often when I go into different situations, I'm worried whether people will ever even like me. But I just sort of realized over time, at the end of the day, some people are going to like you, some people aren't. All you've got to do is just be yourself and go for it. That's exactly what I did when I got the chance to interview Squarespace's CEO last month. There was that split second of opportunity where I saw him walking away, leaving the building, and I just told myself in my head, Henry, you've just got to go for it. And that led to an amazing opportunity, which is going to really help my business and has really helped my presence when it comes to YouTube and different social media platforms. So the biggest thing that I'm going to tell you is go for it. And not just go for it, but actively put yourself out of your comfort zone, because this is ultimately what's going to allow you to accelerate and grow your network faster than you ever could have believed. Now, moving on to the second tip that I have when it comes to networking, it's something that I see a lot of people do wrong. And it's especially important to bear in mind when you're watching these videos, because networking isn't about extracting value or just meeting people for your own personal gain. Networking has to involve you providing value. And my biggest recommendation, and that is tip 2, is always look to provide value first, and always look to provide more value than you ever receive, because that's not only going to put you in a mindset where you are always giving, which in my experience allows you to network much better and build more authentic, real relationships, but it's also going to help people around you even more, because at networking events, let's be honest, no one likes those people that are always there for personal gain. If you're actively trying to go out there and just network with people in order to boost yourself up and take away from other people, eventually people are going to see through that, and you're not going to build that authentic, real connections that networking is all about. So always look to provide value first and provide more value than you ever take. That way your network will grow exponentially, and you will attract the right people that you want to have around you, who ultimately maybe in the future will help you out if you ever need it. Now, moving on to the third networking tip, and this is sort of 2 combined, but just bear with me on this one. This is around building more real connections and allowing you to sort of, between different networking events, when maybe you're speaking to people online, it just allows you to take that relationship the step further. And when I've told this to some people, they sort of say, oh, well, that's a little bit robotic, that's a little bit forced. You know, let's be honest, sometimes when you're meeting different people, it is hard to remember certain information about them. And at the end of the day, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing if you're sort of engineering your own luck and you're putting yourself in a place where you're able to have better conversations around with them. And the first thing is, make sure you say people's name. And the second thing is, make sure that you remember key information about them that you can speak to them about in the future. And the first one, when I say about saying their name, I don't know about you, but I often forget people's names in conversations. So I always try, when people say their name to me, repeat it a couple of times, because it not only shows that you're listening to them, but also helps ingrain their name in your mind, so that in the future you're less likely to forget your name and you're going to avoid those awkward situations. And as I said, the second bit almost ties onto that. You want to make sure that you're remembering information about them, so that when you speak to them in the future, you can have better, faster flowing conversations and start to get a little bit deeper and get to know them. So for example, about this, you may be speaking to someone and they may say that their kid has recently started school. The next time you see them, whether you see them in a month, 2 months, 6 months, maybe even a year, if you remember that piece of information, you can ask them about it in the future. This is not only going to show that you remembered and you actually listened to what they were saying, but it's also going to help that conversation flow a little bit better. Now, me personally, I have a personal CRM. So I have a CRM of different people that I speak to in my life, different people in my network. I will actually note down pieces of information like that, so that the next time I speak to them, I can refer to those notes and easily remember where we last picked off, in order to have better conversations. And let's be honest, if you have a conversation with someone and the last time you spoke to them was a year ago, if they remember a piece of information about you, it just helps the conversation flow a bit better. And in my experience, if you're looking to grow your network, that's going to help you just get that a little bit further, have those deeper conversations and build real connections, even if it is a little bit engineered to begin with. Now, moving on, obviously networking, a big part of that is getting out there, going to networking events. And I found one of the best things that's allowed me to grow my network is sharing more of my story. And I know that a lot of people, me personally, I'm not a massive fan of social media, but things like YouTube and particularly Instagram nowadays are fantastic tools for networking. YouTube, because you're able to share your story, you're able to document different parts, which allows people to get glimpses in different areas of your life and know you better, even though you may not necessarily be speaking to them. People are very unlikely to say no if you have a podcast on a YouTube channel and you ask them to come on. So having a YouTube channel and maybe even podcast is a fantastic way to grow your network. And as I said, social media as a whole. I think that Instagram has almost become the dating app for networking. Me, often when I'm traveling different areas, I'll often use Instagram as a way to decide whether someone is the type of person that I would like to meet up with. And I just want to sort of make a note there. What I'm sort of talking about, I know it can seem quite superficial, but ultimately you've got to look at the day and age that we live in. Everything is so online, and we've just got to look at these tools for what they are. They're tools. At the end of the day, we just have to use them to our advantage in order to grow better connections and meet people. If I look at some of the best friends that I've made over the past few years, often some of the first times that I've spoke to them has been through Instagram. So even though these tools at the end of the day are superficial and they can be very annoying, ultimately it is one of the best places for networking at the moment, especially if you're sort of in your 20s, coming into your 20s and early 30s. They're fantastic tools, so don't sleep on them, even if you don't like them like I don't. And now moving on to the fifth networking tip, and as I said, this has been the tip that's allowed me to get much further, and is the main tip that I would tell myself to do if I could go back before I had the contacts that I do right now. And that would be, put yourself in situations where the people that you want to network are. And this again is sort of what I mentioned earlier. In life, sometimes you do have to engineer your own luck. Taking my girlfriend, for example, she is a virtual assistant for fitness coaches. If she wants to meet more fitness coaches that she can network with and maybe turn into their clients, it makes more sense for her to spend time in gyms. It makes sense for her to be in parts of the world where there's more influencers, more fitness coaches, more the sort of buyer persona that she's looking to attract and ultimately become clients with. And that's one of the reasons that we moved to Bali, because she's found there's a lot more of a target clientele there that she can network with. And that's just one small example that whenever you want to sort of achieve something with your networking, whether it's to make more friends, whether it's to meet clients, whether it's to network with a certain type or group of people, you need to make sure that you are putting yourself where those groups of people are likely to spend time. For me, I've joined 2 online communities, which have been fantastic and allowed me to network with lots of like-minded people. And even though it's cost me almost $25,000 to get into those members clubs, those have massively changed my life because I'm able to fast track myself in order to get access to the sort of people that I want to be around. And as long as I follow the steps that I mentioned earlier in the video, particularly in the one way I always look to provide value early and provide more value than I gain, then those relationships tend to go in the right directions. For example, for one of the networking groups, I organised the biggest and first networking event that there ever was in that community. So again, it's an example of where I always look to provide value first. And what I recommend you do after watching this video is take those 5 tips and apply them straight away. Tell yourself, force yourself, if you want to grow your network, if you want to grow your black book, if you want to grow your net worth, then start applying these 5 steps today, because as I've said, those are the ones that have allowed me to network with millionaires, interview billionaires. And if you apply the recommendations that I've given you in this video, I'm very, very confident you can get to where I am and maybe even past where I am in 18 months from now. And if you have enjoyed this video, then make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. This is a bit more of a general video. I primarily do SEO tips. However, if you do enjoy more of the business networking side of things, then make sure you subscribe, like, and comment below to let me know that you enjoyed this content. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.